everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video on breaststroke, which is my stroke, as most of you probably know. I know that none of us right now are swimming in the pool because of the pandemic, but that doesn't mean that you can't go back and look at this later if you want some helpful tips, or if you want to start thinking about your stroke now, or if you just wanted to look at this video for some insight into some things that have helped me with my breaststroke. It's never too early or late to do things like that. So this is going to be a video of 5 things that have really helped me with my stroke. Most breaststrokers and most swimmers and most coaches will know breaststroke can vary from individual to individual. There's lots of things that work for some people that don't work for other people. There can be kick dominant breaststrokers and arm dominant breaststrokers. There's all kinds of mix, and I feel like that's true more so with breaststroke than any other stroke. And then also your height has a lot to do with it. So these are just things that have helped me throughout the years. And then also, now that I'm swimming for another year, I thought that it might be fun to put together some videos later on when we can actually get into a pool of some of the drills that have really helped me and in the water, and then I can explain them. And that would be a really fun video to do too. So I'll probably do that as well, considering that, yeah, I'll be swimming for another year. So that's great. These are very, very general tips. I don't go into too much detail with them. I might make some videos later that are very specific to kick or very specific to pull or whatever. But these are just like 5 very general tips. If all of them are interesting to you and you want to try them all out, that's great. And if none of them are, doesn't really matter. Like I said, breaststroke is very individualized, and how I swim breaststroke is different from how the next person swims breaststroke. So totally up to you how much you want to take into this. But anyways, this is what has helped me. Tip number 1 is maintaining a streamlined body position. This is specifically at extension in the stroke. So when you're fully streamlined at the top and your legs are fully out behind you, so you're nice and flat in the water. As some of you probably know, a streamline is the most hydrodynamic position to be in the water. If you think of a dolphin or a whale or a shark or anything that lives in the water and it's quite fast, they're in basically a streamlined position. It's the most efficient way to get through the water. So anytime that you're breaking away from a streamlined position is causing resistance and slowing you down, generally speaking. And that's one of the reasons that breaststroke is the slowest stroke out of all 4 of them, is that the recovery is underwater, whereas with all 3 other strokes, the recovery of the stroke in the arms anyways is all above the water. As well, the kick of breaststroke is very, very unique compared to all the other ones, whereas with flutter kick or dolphin kick, you're staying pretty much in line with your streamlined position. But with breaststroke, obviously with your knees moving and your feet turning out and everything, it can cause a lot of resistance, and so that slows you down as well. So it's really, really important that when you are at streamline, that you're in the best streamline that you possibly can be. And when you're at extension, your hands are together. For me, my hands are turned out like this when I'm at extension. Obviously my head is down. Some people, they might be flat, some other people might be a bit more straightforward. It kind of depends on the person, but your hands should be touching when you're at the front, and your head should be down and tucked into your ears. It should be almost like you're in a streamline when you're pushing off the wall. Your head should be in that same line. Your core should also be engaged so that you don't sort of have a sagging tummy in the water, or that your back becomes arched. You want it to be nice and tight so that you're still nice and flat and everything is on one line. And then you want to make sure that your legs are still engaged when you're at full extension. I see a lot of people who will finish their kick and then they just kind of let their legs relax a lot, and this makes a space between your legs, and then you're not really in a very good, nice, tight streamline again. And also you want to point your toes at the end, of course, which is true with basically everything in swimming. When you're at full extension as well, you want to make sure that you are close to the surface. So some people, when they take their stroke, they dive down into the water. You don't want to do that. You want to be going forward, and you want to make sure that when you're at extension, you're not like far under the water. It should only be a few inches of water above your body when you're at extension and staying super close to the surface. You also want to make sure that you don't rush your breaststroke. This is something that I do a lot as well, is that I'll start with my pull before my feet have finished kicking, and then that gets you in sort of like a starfish position. And obviously that's not a good place to be. That's very far out of the streamline position. So you're causing a lot of drag because your arms are open, and then you're also causing drag because your legs are still open. So you kind of look like a starfish. This happens to me a lot when I get tired, or when I'm doing 50 or 100 and I want to be going like aggressive and fast, and then I just rush too far into the front of the stroke and I turn into a starfish. So that's something you want to avoid as well. You want to take your time, make sure that when you get to full extension with your hands, that your feet also finish before you start your next stroke. Very, very important. Tip number 2, kick straight back. Lots of people are taught to do breaststroke kick as like, if my hands and arms are my legs and feet. When you bring your legs up, they are taught to bring their legs around like that in a big sweeping motion. You don't want to do that because, again, that is causing resistance the further you go outside of that streamline position. My leg is coming down. When you're doing your kick, you want to bring your feet up right behind you. Turn, if these are my feet, turn your feet out and then push the water straight back. It should just be like quite a simple motion. There shouldn't be a lot of a roundabout kind of way to do that. Just straight up, straight back, straight up, straight back. And that way you're pushing the water straight behind you and pushing yourself forward instead of misdirecting water and pushing it kind of towards the sides. That doesn't push you forward as efficiently as it does as pushing straight back. If you have flexibility issues with your ankles and not being able to turn them out like this, basically, it's a very awkward position. Honestly, breaststroke is the weirdest kick in the world. It's like, I look at it in slow motion, I'm like, that's not how knees should look. Anyways, if you can't get your feet like this, then try bringing your knees out a little bit wider and make your kick a little bit wider, but you want to be a little bit careful with that and not have lots of drag because of that. It's something to play around with. Like, you really don't want to be having a big out sweeping kick, and still bring your feet up a little bit wider if you have flexibility issues, and then push the water straight back without bringing it around. So try playing around a little bit with that. It's, again, very individual depending on how strong your kick is, if you're a male or a female. Oh, it's biting me. And what your flexibility is. We have a link who's keeping us company today. What are you eating? Don't mind him.
Okay, so I wanted to show you guys a video of the kick in slow motion. So this is just at training camp in California of myself. There's some good shots of what I was talking about with kicking your legs straight back and the catch of the feet. So you'll see that my legs come right up behind me. My hips and knees and ankles are all in line. Nothing is kind of going too far out to the sides. And then this is the power point where you catch the water and push it backwards, straight behind you. Here we go. And then pointing those toes at the end. You can see that I kick a little bit down. And that a lot of that is actually fixed when I put on a racing suit. And then here we go again. Straight up behind, thinking about bringing those heels to your butt instead of drawing your knees up. And there's that power movement, pushing that water back. And the restriction of a suit does help quite a bit with narrowing your kick. But that's the general idea. And then that straight streamline at the end.
Tip number 3 is keeping small, narrow arms. Much like with the breaststroke kick, how we don't want it coming wide and around, it's the same with your arms when you're swimming breaststroke. You don't want to have huge arms way out here, because again, causes a lot of resistance, as well as this is not a super strong position. So you're losing a lot of the water that you can be using to pull when you go super wide. And so you want to make sure when you're doing breaststroke that it's nice and narrow and kept really close into your body. Another thing that goes kind of hand in hand with this is that you don't want to be doing a pull and bringing your shoulders really far back. So I see lots of breaststrokers that will do a wide pull and then they bring their shoulders really, really far back. And you can kind of see that, especially if you do video. It's really, really good to see these things because oftentimes you don't know that you're doing them. And even if your coach tells you that, you don't really know the severity of it until you see it on screen. So it's really good to film things and then try them differently and then come back and look at them again and see the difference and how that feels. Are you going to decide where you want to go? Oh, now you're smelling me. Okay, we're very, very professional on this channel.
Alright, so here is a video of me doing breaststroke with flutter kick, just to show you guys a little example of the arm motion that I'm talking about. So not too wide of a pull, and then arms staying in front of you the whole time, elbows not drawing back, they're staying pretty good on the same line, tucking them in, not very wide, and then shooting forward, not diving down. And then here's another one, not too wide of a pull, elbows tucked in, shooting forward. Nice and clean. No really big, wide strokes. Making sure you get all that power. And then straight forward again.
So what helps me with making sure that I have a narrow pull is doing lots and lots of skull and just making like really small strokes and then trying to make them a little bit bigger and finding what's comfortable and trying to implement that into your swimming as you go like slower and faster. Oh, that's a nice cat butt. Why didn't you take a nap? Anyways, we're just gonna go ahead with this. Tip number 4, practice timing all the time. With breaststroke, you kind of want to think of your body, and like I was talking about that line, so if these are like your feet and your hands, you can kind of visualize that. You want to think about your body sort of like an accordion, or like the way like an inchworm moves or something like that. Your hands and your feet should be coming together at the same time and then going out at the same time. What that kind of means is that when you're taking your pull on breaststroke, your legs should be recovering. And then when your arms are going forward, you should be engaging your kick and pushing yourself forward. It should be like me, 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 me. So this looks disjointed when you see people put their arms forward and then they kick. So it's kind of like a delayed thing, and you'll see that pull and then you'll see the kick later. It's not seamless. How you move forward with breaststroke is being able to do that pull, which is moving you forward, and when your arms are recovering, you're doing that kick. So you're constantly moving forward. Again, if you see that on film, you'll definitely notice a difference with people who have good timing and then people who have bad timing. It's very noticeable. I do lots and lots of drills to help with this. One of the drills that works well for me is doing breaststroke arms with dolphin kick. The timing of when that dolphin kick occurs is the same timing as when you should be bringing your feet up for a breaststroke kick. So try doing like 2 to 3 strokes of breaststroke with that dolphin kick, thinking about the timing of that dolphin kick, and then doing 2 to 3 strokes of breaststroke with breaststroke kick, trying to incorporate that breaststroke kick at the same time as you're doing that dolphin kick, if that makes sense. Again, I'll make a video of all these drills that'll hopefully make a bit more sense. I know it's kind of hard to visualize that right now, but anyways, that's a good drill to do. Another really good drill that helps with a lot of people. I don't do it that often personally, but I know that this helps a lot of people with their timing, especially if you're an IMer or a butterflyer, is doing a couple full strokes of butterfly and then a couple full strokes of breaststroke, or alternating like a full stroke of butterfly and then a full stroke of breaststroke, full stroke butterfly, full stroke of breaststroke, and that's with their respective kicks. And that really helps with like the rhythm, and then that in turn helps with timing of the stroke. So that might be something that can help a lot of you. It's fun to play around with these things. Like drills and sculls are meant to be played around with. It's not set in stone. This should definitely work for you. It's totally individual. People have different strengths and weaknesses, and if you need to change a drill that your coach has given you to something that works better for you, then go ahead and do that. Like there's nothing that says that you can't be inventive and innovative and creative with drills and sculls. You can get a lot better that way, and then you find out a lot more about how your stroke works that way too. Tip number 5 is look down. So this has everything to do with head position. A lot of people, what they'll do with their heads is they'll have it down and then they'll be lifting it up and then putting it back down and then lifting it up and putting it back down. And this wastes a lot of energy. But what you want to be doing is just looking down the entire time. I promise you will still be able to breathe. Water won't be like completely suffocating your face or anything like that, but you should be looking at the bottom of the pool or that black line the entire time. And again, with that body position, when you're at extension, your head should be right between your shoulders, not too far forward or too far up. It should be right into your shoulders and squeezed together so that you have that really nice streamlined position. And with looking down, if you're thinking, well, how am I going to be able to see the wall? One thing is that you should be counting your strokes and know how many strokes it takes you to get down the length of a pool, long course or short course. Another thing is that there is a T at the bottom of the pool that you should be aware of where that T is in relation to the wall and be able to judge that. And another thing is just being kind of aware of your surroundings and knowing where, like, okay, the flags are 5 meters out. That should take me X amount of strokes to be able to get into the wall. And then you also have the T to look at. And then also, just because your head is down doesn't mean that you can't look with your eyes up. Whilst you're still looking down, I can just look with my eyes forward and then I would be able to see the wall. You should be able to gauge where the wall is based on your stroke counts, based on where the T is, based on where the flags are. And also you can take a little peek with your eyeballs instead of having to move your head a whole lot to be able to look at where the wall is. I don't know what my hair is doing. Oh my goodness. Stay. Yeah. Oh well, whatever. All of these things, all they really take is practice. Obviously, if you are used to lifting your head and looking at the wall, that's going to be a bit of a change for sure. Don't think that you should be able to like know this and how to do it right away. Oh, bye, Link. Aww. Take some time and just practice, and that's all you can really do. Eventually it'll come without you even thinking about it. Those are my 5 tips, and I think that's basically it for this video. I could talk about breaststroke for hours. I also think that I'll do some series of this kind of stuff with different people because I'm a breaststroker. I don't know a whole lot about other strokes, so I'll maybe have some guest people on to talk about their respective strokes and distance and things that have helped them. So stay tuned for that, I suppose. If you guys have any questions or if you have any comments about this video, please don't hesitate to comment in the comment section below or message me on social media. I hope everybody's staying safe and having a good time at home. I went to the grocery store yesterday and there was no yeast, none at all, not a single one. So I hope you're all enjoying making bread at home because I've been baking a lot too. It's been great. We're gonna come out of this all like needing wheelbarrows to roll our stomachs in. It'll be awesome. Anyways, bye!